Hey everyone, this is Evan from 20-Sided Night, and today we're going to be talking about weapon accessories. So weapon accessories can be found on page 58 of the Starfinder Armory. So what are weapon accessories? They are cool things that you can put onto your guns and melee weapons that let you shoot farther, improve accuracy, let you hit more often with a full attack, make sure you're not printing, make it harder to have the weapon knocked out of your hand, and have movie magic silencers. So there are two different types of accessories, attached and integrated. Attached accessories are just something you can slap onto your gun or remove as a full action, which is nice because you can change up your accessories on the fly depending on the situation. Integrated weapons become part of the weapon and either have to be purchased/crafted with the weapon, or you need to take it to someone with a lot of ranks in engineering to install. For the most part, weapon accessories can only be added to a railed weapon. Railed weapons are any weapons that are long arms, heavy weapons, or sniper weapons. Each railed weapon has 4 rails that go along the top, bottom, left, and right side of the barrel. And each rail can only have one accessory. Some accessories need to go on a specific rail, so make sure you read through the accessories description.
Sorry, Yankee, I know this isn't what you want to hear, but this is what a real operator's machine looks like.
One part that is a little vague is the amount of rails that a small arm gets, because there are some accessories that require rails but are also for small arms. However, the rules aren't really cut and dry, and believe me, I've gone over this section several times and I have asked multiple people, and the only interpretation we can agree on is that there isn't any clearly stated rules for how many rails small arms can have. For example, the closest thing I could find is that in the section about sights, in the same sentence that it talks about how a sight needs to be added to a top rail, they also mention that they can be added to a small arm, without any sort of punctuation in between. And it doesn't even clearly say if the small arm even has a top rail. So unless Paizo wants to comment on this video and correct me, I say that on small arms you can have a rail on the bottom, top, and a third rail for either a flash suppressor and / or a silencer. Which, by the fucking by, has some super dread implications, even if you don't use one. I'll talk more about silencers later, but like all vague things, it's ultimately up to your DM. Another thing to keep in mind is that not all weapon accessories use a rail, so you can add something like a grip or an eternal dampener without taking up a rail. Now you may be asking, why would you want to add an accessory onto your weapon? There are a ton of weapons in the core rulebook alone, and the Armory adds a boatload of new weapons, and it seems like every book has at least a few new guns in there, and there's a great variety of weapons in these books. Besides stuff like guns, blasters, and basic melee weapons, they also have some cool unarmed weapons, like the good old hand exploder, needle guns, made famous by Reptoids and the CIA, shoulder-mounted rocket launchers, and even stuff like battle ribbons. While these weapons are neat, sometimes you need a custom tool for a custom job. For example, let's say that you're the party soldier who was in love with their brand new rocket pauldron elite that they found. For legal reasons, they found it. However, their next job requires them to be a little bit sneaky. Initially, they may be worried that they'll have to resort to using a knife or, even worse, using their words like a fucking envoy. But fear not, my little Crayola connoisseur, because with a few weapon attachments you can still shoot salvos downrange without alerting the whole base. Some might say, nobody needs a fully semi-flash suppressed and silenced rocket pauldron elite with a null space gunner harness, a heavy bipod, and a clarity scope. And to that I say, nobody needs a whiny little broke bitch with no imagination, no riz, no whimsy, and no bitches. But here you are. So now that you're good and excited about weapon accessories, let's go over what they can do. Bayonet bracket. A bayonet bracket allows you to attach a melee weapon to your gun, but keep in mind that if the melee weapon you attach does slashing or bludgeoning damage, you take a -2 penalty to your attack rolls. However, rules as written, this means that a good amount of advanced melee weapons, like the non-copyright infringing plasma sword, would be able to be used on a bayonet bracket without penalty. Bipods. Bipods allow you to extend the legs as a move action. When extended, you can use the move action to stabilize them on a surface or use them as a forward grip, which can reduce any penalties you take due to range and /or for taking a full attack. Keep in mind you only get to reduce this penalty by 2, so if you were taking a full attack that was 1 range increment outside of your weapon's first range increment, instead of taking a -6 penalty, you'd be taking a -4. Collapsing weapons. This integrated accessory allows you to fold up a melee weapon, therefore making it easier to conceal. Flash suppressor. So according to the flash suppressor entry, all projectile weapons in Starfinder already come equipped with what we would consider to be a flash suppressor. to protect a weapon's user from flash blinding during firefights in low light conditions, as well as to protect other high-tech devices from fouling due to residue from projectile accelerants. However, with the flash suppressor accessory, it gets rid of all of a gun's muzzle flare and makes it harder for people to see you shooting a gun in low light conditions. Also, you can combine it with a suppressor by paying the combined cost for both of them. Grenadier bracket. Basically, you attach a noob tube to the bottom rail of your weapon. Mechanically speaking, you're just adding an existing grenade or missile launcher to your gun, provided it weighs 3 bulk or less. Just a reminder, this is around 30 pounds. However, the capacity of your noob tube is reduced by 50% to a minimum of 1, and when using it, you use your proficiency with heavy weapons. Grips. There are several different types of grips. One thing to keep in mind is that you can combine the effects of all of these grips, but you need to pay the combined cost. But remember, some of the higher level grips make others redundant. Like if you want to combine a folding and a null space grip, you can, but you're basically throwing your credits into a hole. A folding grip can only go onto a small arm and lets you fold it up so it's easier to conceal. A nanofiber grip makes it so the weapon is harder to take away from you. A null space grip allows you to conceal a melee weapon or small arm by taking most of it into an extra dimensional space, leaving you with a small 1.5 inch disc that you can squeeze to bring back into your hand and ready to rock. Besides being very easy to conceal, some people may not even know what it is. So if a dumb bouncer finds it on you, they may not even know what it is. With a blur grip, you can throw this bad boy onto a melee weapon and make it have a cool ghostly afterimage effect that allows you to feint better. Gunner harness. These accessories allow characters with low strength to handle heavy weapons by giving them a separate strength score for the purposes of handling heavy weapons. They also allow you to reduce penalties for making full attacks and for shooting things outside of your range, much like a bipod. There are 3 different types of harnesses: a light harness, a heavy harness, and a null space harness. A light harness gives you a strength score of 12 and reduces your penalties by 1. A heavy harness gives you a strength of 14 and reduces your penalties by 2. And a null space harness works like a heavy harness and a null space grip combined. Inertial dampener. This allows you to make your gun non-lethal with a swift action. Basically, it's a tactical version of a merciful weapon fusion. Rangefinder. This accessory allows you to see exactly how far away something is, how fast it's going, and if it's moving away or towards you. You can also combine it with a scope or a sight if you pay the combined cost. Scopes. With a move action, you can look through your scope to increase your weapon's range, reduce your penalties you would get on attacks due to range, and can affect the target's AC bonus due to them taking cover. Mechanically speaking, this makes sense. However, I don't know how you could use a scoped weapon without looking through the scope unless it's on an angle and you're spending your move action to flip it on its side and get on target, or maybe you have to flip it up and that's the move action, or maybe the scope defaults to 1x magnification and has to be adjusted to the correct magnification, but then somehow magically resets when the user doesn't want magnification. So let's briefly go over the kinds of scopes you can get. One cool thing is that most higher level scopes also have the capabilities of lower level scopes. Sniper scopes reduce any range penalties you might take and any AC bonus the target gets from cover by 2. Night vision scopes work like a sniper scope, but when looking through it, you see as if the light level was 1 level higher. Laser scopes have the same abilities as a sniper scope, except you reduce your range penalty and the target's cover buff by 4 instead of 2. You can also get the night scope DLC, but this will run you 1,000 credits. A revealing scope has the same abilities as a night vision and a laser scope, but while looking down the scope, you can use a move action to activate its sensors for 10 minutes. When activated, you can see invisible and ethereal creatures, and you reduce your miss chance due to concealment by 10%. These sensors can be activated 3 times per day. Clarity scopes function as a revealing scope, but when these sensors are active, you can see through illusions and eliminate your miss chance due to concealment. Sights are basically improved iron sights and work similarly to scopes, but you don't get an increase to the weapon's range. However, you still need to spend a move action to use your sights. So with something like scopes, I 100% agree that you should take a move action to get on target, because with a scope you kinda gotta... But with a sight it doesn't really make sense. The only way I can logic this one out is that since they help you with range and cover penalties, maybe your iron sights are set to the weapon's listed range increment, and that your sight is set to farther ranges, so maybe it takes the character a second to aim with the red dot instead of the iron sights. So there are 2 different types of sights. Manual sights reduce range penalties and the target's AC cover bonus by 2 when using your sights. And laser sights, which work like manual sights, but you reduce your target's cover bonus, AC, and your range penalties by 4. Stocks. There are two different kinds of stocks, and both of them are used to help conceal the weapon. A collapsing stock allows you to fold up a long arm so it's as easy to conceal as a small arm. Or you could get a null space stock, which works like the rest of the null space accessories, but for long arms and heavy weapons. Unit clamps. This cool little device allows you to attach items to your weapon and use them while still holding on to the gun. However, it takes up as many rails as the item takes hands to operate and can't weigh more than 1 bulk. Keep in mind, 1 bulk is 10 pounds. But that means you could put something like an auto cartographer onto your gun so you can have an IRL minimap, a grappler so you can do Batman stuff, or a flashlight. Now I know a flashlight isn't as cool as the other two things, and there are tons of options for seeing in the dark, ranging from implants, night vision goggles, being erased with dark vision, or just using your comm unit's light, but take it from me, sometimes you need to have a good portable source of light on you. I'm not fucking afraid of you! Silencer. And finally, we have the silencer. So according to the entry for silencers, all Starfinder weapons have built-in suppressors, which, contrary to what movies and video games will tell you, they don't make the gun silent, they just make it so you won't be talking really loud after shooting them.
It's not really loud!
However, in Starfinder, through magic, a silencer not only makes firing the weapon silent, but also makes the ammunition silent too.
So I got this orcish made silencer. Let's see how she works.
If you pay the combined price, you can combine it with a flash suppressor. Mechanically, this reduces any stealth penalties you take to shoot and go back into stealth by 5. So with a flash suppressor, you could reduce your penalties by 10 in low light conditions. However, according to page 140 of the Starfinder core rulebook, sniping someone gives you a minus 20 penalty to go back into stealth. So with these two, you're still taking a minus 10. Honestly, this seems kind of low since you're paying a few thousand credits for accessories that are straight up magic to make all the noise and light go away, and at the end of it all, you still get a minus 10 penalty? That just seems weird to me. If it were up to me, or I was your DM, I would say that a flash suppressor would still take 5 off the penalty in low light conditions, and the silencer would take 15 off your penalty. And while that may seem a bit overpowered to some people, I feel like the fact that the player's going out of their way to use an obscure item and paying a decent chunk of change, I feel like this is acceptable. But more importantly, it'd be pretty fun to have an operative running around doing stealth archer stuff. And this is coming from a guy who's never played an operative before. Also, with how I would run silencers, they're probably going to get 1, maybe 2 shots off before the alarm is raised, because I feel like the roleplay opportunities outweigh any potential power gaming. Also, you're the DM. If they're using this to steamroll encounters, just have the bad guys always come in pairs, so if the first one gets shot, the second guy can call it in.
Hey everyone, post-editing Evan here. So while looking for some stuff for my character to buy, I found some really interesting things on page 147 of the Alien Archive 4. So using this species graph, you're able to get the racial abilities of a hobbit, and this works by adding some soft pads to the bottom of your feet. But among other things, it does take 10 off your sniping penalty. So apparently, Secret Service draw. This wasn't the problem. This no noise, but giving you away every fucking time. So, if you want a non-homebrew way to get around the issue of having a sniping penalty, you need to have a magical silencer, a magical flash suppressor, as long as you're in low light conditions, either be a hobbit, or get Cinderella surgery. So, out of curiosity, I decided to get it. I didn't think it would work, but, you know, I think the results are really going to surprise you.
Well everyone, that's going to wrap up this video. In the comments down below, tell me how I'm wrong about how many rails a small arm gets because Paizo actually clarified the rules in one of the modules or an errata or something. Or tell me if you now want to start using weapon accessories in your game, and if you already do, show me your busted ass loadout. Also, if you like this video, please give it a like, because it really helps me in the algorithm, but more importantly, it helps grow my ego. And if you like what you saw, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video with your table. Hey you rascal, thank you for watching till the end. If you haven't already, click here to subscribe, click here to watch one of our newer videos, and click here to see something random.
You're getting watermelon over your gun.
Ah! Oh, it's all down the front of you.